Hi friends, good morning and I welcome you to this new class. Yesterday I told you to draw a graph, but most of you, only 3 or 4 of you submitted, and that also in the wrong way. That shows that you are not sure what is a graph, in spite of seeing several times in the book, and still you are not aware what is a graph, how to draw a graph and so on. So that shows that you are not concentrating in your studies. You are just by hearting something and pouring out during the exams. It is not entering into your mind, and you are not assimilating the knowledge about a graph and so on. So try to understand what is a graph and try to fulfill that requirement of drawing a graph and submit to me. Okay. And the last class we were talking about the unemployment that is faced by the people of India. One of the great problem that the people in India facing is the unemployment. And we said there is a seasonal or disguised unemployment and educated unemployment. So seasonal or disguised. Seasonal or disguised, or there is a educated unemployment. These are the two types. So seasonal or disguised unemployment, they get employment only during the season. All the rest of the time they are unemployed. And educated unemployment means they are educated, well qualified, they have studied their graduation, post graduation and so on, but they are not getting jobs. So let us see about what is the problem that they are facing. You can follow in your textbook, page number 25, the continuation of yesterday's class. So unemployment leads to wastage of manpower resources. So one problem that we face because of the unemployment is wastage of manpower resource. So people who are educated, people who are healthy, they can do a lot of work, but there is no chance to do work, there is no work available. Therefore they are wasting their quality, they are wasting their talent, they are wasting their health and so on. So the manpower or the manpower resource is wasted, nothing to do. Morning till evening they simply sit down there. Then another thing is that these uneducated people, they turn out to be a liability. I hope you remember what is liability, opposite of asset. Liability means they are not able to give something, but others have to give them. So people who are unemployed, instead of working and earning money for their family and helping the nation to become richer by increasing the GDP, what do these people do? They just sit at home, they have to eat food, so others have to work for them, or others have to bring money that they have, and so they become a liability. Instead of doing for others, others have to do for them. So that's a great problem that we are facing. Then there is a feeling of hopelessness. You can just imagine people who study up to BA, MA or BEd, MH or PhD. So after doing all these studies, they are not getting job. So what will they feel? They feel really hopelessness. They feel there is no hope, there is no future, and so they will be getting discouraged, despair, they will be losing interest in life and so on. So that is another problem that the people are facing, especially young people with a great enthusiasm. They study, they get their degree, honors and so on, but after completing completing their studies, they expect a job. But when they find that job is not available or they are not selected for the job, they simply become despair, discouraged and so on. especially among the young people. Then people do not have enough money to support their family. So if the head of the family or the father of the family is not getting job, or if he is unemployed, then what happens? The people do not have enough money to support. He may have to go and do some other work, and that work is not sure. Every day may not have work. So what to do? He may not have enough money to support their family, and he may not be able to educate his children because he has no money to educate their children, and so on. And so they are really finding difficult. And people of inability to, then these educated people are unable to get a job or willing to work to find a gainful employment implies a great social waste. So as we said, people who are unemployed, people who are willing to work but work is not available, then what happens? Their life becomes a waste. They are not useful for anybody. Instead they become a burden for others. The others have to look after them, and so on. So it becomes a waste, social waste we can say. Suppose all those people are able to get job, then they can do great things, and people in that area they become rich, and so on. Then another problem that unemployment creates is it tends to increase economic overload. So the economic burden is increasing, as we already said. Suppose in a family 5 people are there, all are educated and they are not getting job. Only one person has got job, let's say. One person has got job. All the other rest are ready to do the work, but work is not there. Job is not found. Therefore, that one person has to look after every member with his salary. So, he is overburdened. Then the dependence of the unemployed on the working population increases. So all the unemployed people, how will they depend, or how will they meet their needs? They have to buy dress, they have to eat food, and so on. From where will they get this food? Others who have got job, they have to supply, they have to share their wealth. That way it becomes a burden for them. For example, in the family, if the father is working and all the other children are educated but they don't find any work, then our father has to continue to support even the grown-up children, to buy their dress, to provide food for them, other things, and so on. So it becomes a burden. Then the quality of the life of individuals as well as of society is adversely affected. So that is, we can understand if the economic burden is increasing or others are dependent on one person, then it's not only affecting that person or that family, but it affects the entire society. The people as a whole become poor. Suppose every family there are 1 or 2 or 3 educated but unemployed people are there, then those people who have got job, they have to share their wealth, their money with others, and that becomes a burden for those people. That is really becoming a hard thing for them. Then it is also, a family has to live on a bare subsistence level. There is a general decline in his health status and rising withdrawal from school system. Suppose the people don't have enough money. For example, in a family, to look after all the members of the family, there is no money. Only one person is working, all others they don't have work. And so everybody is depending on that same person who has got job. And so his money may not be very high, his salary may not be very high. So what happens? He has to cut down the expenses. For example, they cannot buy good food for everybody every day. They have to reduce the food. They may be able to buy meat before. Now others have no job, so they have to buy only vegetables maybe. Or they are not able to eat other good food. They have to eat very little food. They cannot eat plenty because not enough money. So it will affect the health of the people. And then there may be children who are going to school. They may even stop going to school because they are not able to pay the fees or pay the book money or other things, other expenses. So they may stop studying as well. So a family will be really affected if they don't have enough economic support, if they don't have enough financial support, and all that happens in a family where there is unemployment, where people are unemployed. Then hence unemployment has detrimental impact on the overall growth of the economy. So when a family is suffering, I said it is not only that family is suffering, the entire society is suffering, and when society is suffering, the entire village is suffering, and when the village is suffering, it is affecting the growth of the nation also. So when we take the average growth of the nation, one village is so low, their income is so low, and so it will affect every other average income of the country. So it is affecting every part of the country when one part is suffering, and therefore increase in unemployment is an indicator of the depressed economy. So if you find that more and more people are becoming unemployed, that is showing that the economy of that country is becoming is going downwards. It is depressed, not increasing. And so it is an indication when we say in our country so many people have lost their job, that shows the economy is not growing up, but it is depressed, it is going downwards. And during these last 2 years, because of the lockdown, because of COVID-19 and so many people have lost their job in our country. That means these last 2 years, the economy of the country is growing downwards. It's not able to provide job. Many people have lost their job and so on. So it is really affecting the economy of the country. Then it is also wasting a resource, as we have already said. People who are healthy, people who are educated, they can do a lot of work, but the work is not available. Therefore, they are wasting their energy. They are simply sitting down, wasting their energy, wasting their intellect, their quality, skill, everything. Then, if people cannot be used as a resource, they naturally appear as a liability. So that also we have already mentioned. When a person is unemployed, he becomes a liability, he becomes a burden to the country, to the family, to the society and so on. Suppose everybody is working and getting their own salary, they can be independent of themselves, independent of others, they can stand on their legs. Then we can say the economy of the country is growing. Everybody is self-sufficient, everybody can stand on their own, they can be independent. So that is a situation where we can say the economy is growing. But when people have lost their job and they are depending on others, then it is an indicator that economy is growing downwards, economy is collapsing. Then in the case of India, if you look at the statistics of India, we will find the unemployment rate is low. So this book was printed many years ago, that's why it is said the unemployment rate is very low. That means many people were having job at the time this book was printing. That means some 10 years ago this book was printed. So but now the last 2 years has severely affected the people of India. Quite many of them have lost their job, and some of the people who are working in the organized sector, they have lost their job, or they have their salary has been reduced, and so people who have been working in the airlines and so on, quite many of them were dismissed because of the corona. The flights were not flying and the companies were running on a loss. They could not pay salary to the pilots and air hostess and other staffs. So quite many of them were dismissed and sent away. So a lot of people lost their job, they were depressed and so on. Then a large number of people represented with low income and productivity are counted as employees. So we say the unemployment rate is very low in our country, but we need to remember that almost how many percentage of people are working in the unorganized sector? In the rural area itself, we said almost 80% of the people are working in the unorganized sector. So they are doing something. Maybe working in the farm, maybe selling vegetables in the roadside and so on. So such kind of works will not get much income. We can say they are employed, but the income that they get, that is very little. They can just hardly, barely manage the expenses of the family. And so, though they are employed, the work is very hard and the income that they get is very low. Then they appear to work throughout the year, but in terms of their potential income, it is not adequate for them. So we can say they have work, as I said, in a field where 5 people can work, 8 people are going and working. So we can say all the 8 are working, but actually only 3 are working. By 5 are working, another 3 more added there, and by that production is not increasing, but everybody's work is reduced. So they are all working less and getting the same amount of production results. And so we can say these poor farmers, they are working whole year, but the income that they get, the profit that they get is so low. Then the work that they are pursuing, the work that they are doing, it seems forced upon them. So the farmers, if you ask them, do you like to work in the office or you like to work in the farm, what will they say? Certainly they will say, I like to work in the office or in the factory. That means I like to get work in the secondary sector, that is in the industry, or in the tertiary sector, that is in the service and so on. But there is no job opportunity, or they don't have the required skill. So because of that, they are not getting the job. And they may therefore want other work of their choice. Therefore they are forced to do what the work that is available. And very often in the rural area, the only work available is working in the farm. So the income that they get may be very less, but they have no other choice, therefore they go and work there. Then they may therefore they tend to engage in any activity irrespective of the earning potential. So they know, if I go and work in this farm, I will get very little pay, I will get very small wage, very little wage. But it is something better than nothing. If I sit at home, I will not get 5 rupees also. If I go and work in the farm, at least I may get 50 rupees. So they are ready to work that because something is better than nothing. So they waste their whole day and they get very little pay. Then their earning keeps them on a bare subsistence level. So that what they are earning, that is just sufficient for them to have their food and other necessary needs met. So they cannot live a very comfortable life, they cannot live a very cushy life, because the money that they get is so little and they cannot buy all the things that they require. Therefore they just buy the minimum amount of food that is required for their survival and so on. Then you can see in your textbook there is a man sitting and repairing the shoes. Can you see? See. So he is a healthy person, maybe an educated person, and because he does not have an office work or he does not have any other work, so he is forced to take up this work of repairing the shoes. There is no other work. So most of the people are forced to do this kind of work which has got very low income because they have no other source. Then we can say the employment structure is characterized by self-employment in the primary sector. So people who are working in the primary sector, that is agriculture sector, working in the farm and so on. So that is chosen by self or self-employment. Suppose I have a field, I will appoint myself. I will say I will go and work in the farm. So That is self-appointment or self-employment. I find employment, I find job for myself. I am not waiting for others to come and appoint me, but I appoint myself. So that is a style that is practiced in the villages, especially in the primary sector. So the whole family will be involved there. Whole family will go and work there. And as I said, the farm, maybe 5 people are required to complete the work and produce the maximum grain. But since that family has got 8 members and they don't have any other job, all of them go and work there, and therefore 3 people are extra. So those 3 people are called disguise and employment. When people look, they say, oh, all the members of that family are employed. But actually, how many are employed? Only 5 are employed. 3 are going and working because they have no other work to do. So by 5 people working or 8 people working, the total production of grain remains the same. There is no extra production because 3 people are working extra. So they are simply working. And if they get a job, those 3 people get a job in the factory, or if some other people who have got a big farm, they say, come and work in my farm, I will pay you wage. Then those 3 people can go and work there and they will get extra payment from there, and the economy of the family will increase. So that is what we need to do. So when we talk about the primary sector, most of the people are employing themselves. They have got their own farm, therefore they go and work in the farm. So we will wind up today, and in the next class we will take the last part of this lesson, where we will continue to talk about the unemployment, and we will see also a story of a person or story of the people of a village, how their village was turned into a very rich village. Before they were just living from hand to mouth, not having any extra income, not having any extra saving. But because of that education that they got, their children got, the village was transformed into a rich village. Everybody had some job, everybody had some extra income, and they were able to have some extra savings as well. So all those we will see in the next class. Until then, we will meet. So bye. We will meet you again.